welcome back. So here we are at the second to last video of this module, and this one is all about prototyping and pitching. So we're making great progress. You're nearly the whole way through the design thinking process now on this litter challenge. You went big, you threw the fishing net out to undergo empathy. You did interviews, you had conversations, you made observations, maybe a little bit of body storming and research before focusing in on a specific problem to be solved. Once you had that problem statement, that point of view statement, you went big again, you came up with loads of ideas, you went for volume before focusing in on one solution that you thought might be worthwhile progressing with. And that brings us now to prototyping and pitching. So prototyping is really important in the context of design thinking, and that it gives you something visual, something tangible that you can share with your potential user group in order to get feedback. We always say, show, don't tell. Having that visual, that visible, that tangible thing to present to somebody to get feedback on is much better than just talking to them about your solution. Show, don't tell. And prototyping, as I said, is essential really in design thinking in order to test your solution, in order to get feedback on it. So a prototype, something visual, something potentially tangible that you can hand to somebody or show to somebody in order to get feedback from them. Testing of your prototype is essential in reducing risk. We always say, fail early, fail often. And testing really is all about thinking about how can you do something in order to get feedback. So for example, instead of signing a 12-month lease on a physical premises on a space, pay a smaller fee, much smaller fee to rent that space or a similar space for 2 hours in order to run your workshop or have your group. And I think it's important just to say that it's really important to be open to receiving feedback on your idea that maybe you don't want to hear. When somebody responds to your prototype with words like, I'd like it more if, that kind of feedback is incredibly valuable to you as the entrepreneur, as the social entrepreneur. Some of you might be working on an idea that's intended for a vulnerable group, and it might be a little bit more challenging to do prototyping and testing with them. In that case, I would say to test with key stakeholders, maybe people who are familiar with your user group, who will be able to maybe more easily step into their shoes and give you feedback from their perspective. At least in the early stages of prototyping. At some stage, I think it is important that you do engage with your ultimate end user group. But maybe earlier on, again, if it's a vulnerable group that you're working with or a group that's harder to access, maybe think about doing some early stage prototyping and testing with key stakeholders who have knowledge of them. So prototyping, the prototypes come in many different forms. So napkin sketches, we've done a bit of that already in modules 1 and 2 so far. Of course, visual kind of construction-y type things, grab the recycling, the cardboard, and see if you can put a little something together. Get out the colorful Lego, the paper. Again, whatever it is that you need in order to make a visual or tangible representation of your solution. We often talk about rough and ready, that it doesn't need to be perfect, especially not in the early stages, but it's just something that people can respond to. If you've got an idea for an app or maybe a website, certainly don't need to be building the entire app or website early on. Little sketches of it, wireframes, something that somebody can pretend to click through are equally valid ways to prototype an app or a website. We also talk about, and I referred to it briefly there just a moment ago, the sort of taster approach. So if you were somebody that was in the wedding cakes business and you wanted feedback on a new recipe, instead of making a prototype, full entire wedding cake, you might just do tiny little cupcakes as tasters, prototypes of your new wedding cake concept. Similarly, if you're in a position where maybe you're planning to offer or provide a service or workshops, something like that, you can do little tasters. So instead of, a 5-day full summer camp, again, it's this idea of maybe 2 or 3 hour mini workshop to get feedback on the concept, whether it's nature or artwork, or if you're thinking about having kind of group support sessions, something like that. Again, instead of a full maybe 12 or 16-week program that meets once a week, just little tasters to get some feedback on the concept can work really nicely. So you've got 2 tasks as part of this video. And the first is to make a prototype of your litter solution. So again, something visual or tangible that you could present to somebody in order to get feedback on your idea. And then I'd also like you to craft a 60-second pitch of your solution. And in this pitch, I'd like you to share what problem you focused on, what need did you identify, and what was the interesting insight or aha moment that led you to think this was a problem worth solving. Of course, you want to reveal your solution in your pitch, have some sort of wow moment, ta-da, reveal. Make sure that you give your solution a name. And it's also good to include some type of, some sort of memorable strapline or tagline. I always say to avoid the sort of, and also does this, and also does this, and also does this, and also, by the time you get to the 5th or 6th, and also it does this, and it has this, and also this campaign, and this, and this, and it all connects in together, you'll lose your audience. So try to be as focused, clear, and concise as possible. Of course, in your pitch, 60-second pitch, make sure to show your prototype. And then end with a call to action. When you're presenting an audience with a pitch, that kind of presentation, it can be really effective to end with a call to action. End strong. What do you want your listener to do next? Do you want them to visit your website once it's launched in a month's time? Do you want them to come along to your next workshop, taster workshop? The call to action really is that piece that makes sure that your audience, as they're leaving you, is fully engaged and knows what to do next. So second part of your task, along with creating a prototype, is to create a 60-second pitch of your solution. And I would encourage you to deliver it to family or friends or your housemates. And you can tell them that they can pretend to be the dragons. If they're a fan of the TV show Dragon's Den, they can be the dragons, hopefully nice dragons, and give you a little bit of feedback on both your prototype and your pitch. So I hope you enjoy that one. And once you've done that, that will be you having gone the full way through the design thinking process around the topic of litter. So have fun with this, enjoy, and I'll see you for the final video.